Alright, and you guys voted for Daredevil by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. And this has to be one of the most loved runs of the character. Not saying a lot, as Daredevil has many runs that many people love. But this one, actually, funny enough, is one that I didn't read till last year. I've read all the Born Again one and the Man Without Fear, which are in the companion version of Daredevil by Frank Miller, but I never actually read the Daredevil run by Frank Miller till last year. And I gotta say, that kind of sucked because this has become one of the greatest runs for the character I've ever read, and I've loved a lot of runs. Is it my favorite? Well, you're gonna have to watch this review to find out. But since it is getting reprinted, should you pick it up? Well, kind of gave a hint to say it's one of the greatest runs of all time, but I'm going to let you see inside and find out why you should pick this up right away. So opening up this book, the very first thing you're going to notice is that Frank Miller isn't actually the writer at first, he's just the artist. But a couple of issues in and he becomes the plotter too, and by 7 or 8 issues, he actually becomes the writer of the series, while Klaus Janson continues the excellent art with Miller's penciling here and there. What really works here, though, is these two coming together and being a combo of an artist and a writer. And Frank Miller, you know, he isn't always my favorite writer, but he was on top of his game when writing this plot and just character development for Daredevil. And the first few stories are kind of lighthearted, you know, Daredevil dealing with just typical crime fighting, and also there's a moment with Hulk which is very funny, but these are mostly typical superhero stories. But then as we go deeper in, we get into the Frank Miller's Daredevil world, and right away he sets up Elektra in such an intriguing way. And it's a woman who once loved Matt, and he loved her, but she's swallowed by the grief and rage of her childhood and goes down a much darker path than Matt. Still, though, inside, she loves him, and this makes a very compelling back and forth relationship. But luckily, as you read through, she's not the only one who gets character development, which is really nice. Miller sets up Bullseye as kind of the main thorn in Daredevil's side, and he's an extremely evil threat. And while doing so, he gets to showcase Matt's limits of how close he gets to actually killing Bullseye, which is very compelling since Matt is Catholic and he is against killing. And then eventually, Miller gets to introduce the man, the legend himself, Wilson Fisk, into the big picture, and things get even more crazy. And really, once Fisk is introduced, this series just kind of never lets its foot up on the gas. It is just throughout crazy shit happening, and that's the best part of this omnibus, in my opinion, is that the start is more typical superhero-ish, but as we go on, it just gets better and better and really never lets up. I'm not going to spoil anything, despite this being very old, over 30 years old, but the amount of world building, chaos, and just sadness in this book is awesome. Even if the middle is near perfection, I think the ending of this omnibus also holds up extremely well. So to kind of summarize why I think this is like a must buy as soon as you can get this, either well if you want to pay extra right now or wait till the reprint that comes out, I believe later this year or early 2023, I'm just going to tell you why. It has excellent character work. I mean excellent character work. Great cast of both heroes and villains. Serious, relatable issues between characters, and some really good social commentary. And there's just great fights, grit, and action, and overall the art is crazy good from Janson. He does an amazing job with some really, really good fight scenes, as well as just the emotional feel of the characters you get through the art. So I haven't talked about the art enough. It is fantastic. The plot, wonderful, but the art is obviously just as good, making this one of the best collections I've ever read for Daredevil. So, saying that, I'm going to give this an extremely high rating of a 4.5 out of 5. This is probably my second favorite Daredevil run, and that's saying a lot, as I really, really love Daredevil. I like a lot of his runs, and maybe I can review a couple of more if you guys are interested. But this run is a must-buy. When it gets reprinted, if you don't want to spend an insane amount of money right now, please pick this up. It is 110% worth it. 4.5 out of 5. One of the best omnibuses I actually own.